Hello everyone, Koji from Celestial Rhythms. Today, full moon, January 28th. And again, this is just such a powerful time we're in. So many things are happening. It's such a bottleneck, I would call it, we are pushed through as a global collective, so to say, and it's centered on the United States. Washington DC, that's where I was casting this full moon chart for. I just want to show you a little snippet here. You see 8 degrees 37 Virgo and Pisces we have here in the consciousness axis of this full moon, and that is most exactly the ascendant and descendant axis of the American nation's secondary progressions, which move about 1 minute of arc in 1 week, 1 degree in 1 year. So this is a very, very slowly evolving picture and shows the current state of the nation. So in a short sentence, this would say that, let me go back to it here. Here it is, that this is a crucial full moon, that whatever happens will be very much centered on the American nation, and it will be very loud. Together with the full moon, just a few hours after, actually you see the full moon 2:16 p.m. Washington time, which was just a few hours ago, and a few hours later at 8:39 p.m. Eastern time, Sun and Jupiter will have their exact conjunction, which happens once in a year. So this is a very Jovian full moon, if you want to say. Jupiter expansion and all the big things in life, and also interestingly big money is involved with Jupiter, and it was an interesting story which unfolded today, which came fully into the limelight with the Sun-Jupiter conjunction. You must have heard it. GameStop, that company Wall Street was betting against, and then what happened? GameStop mobilized its grassroots to buy their stock and make the price of their stock rise, which then was pushing that big broker company which had bet against them into bankruptcy. And even a Senate panel hearing was now called in. This is the, okay, here we are. This is the one, Senate panel to hold hearing on current state of stock markets. That's how critical this whole thing gets now, bringing all that short selling, which is really basically manipulation of markets and deeply illegal from a humanitarian point of view, at least, as it goes against the intrinsic value. So this is all now exposed with this Sun-Jupiter conjunction, which happens to be just a few hours away again from a Mars Black Moon conjunction tomorrow early morning, which is critical, which is difficult in many ways, and there is danger of some false flag or some other difficult expression of Martian energy. Could also mean a military action, a kind of in the in the shadows, as the dark moon is about something which you can't fully see where it's coming from. So we are in a very critical window, as we all know, and it's very loud, as I say, that Sun-Jupiter conjunction. Also, there were some really eerie pictures going around the internet about the White House. This structure has been built in front of the White House. Nobody knows really what it is about, and it seems this could be a mobile prison system, as this picture shows, a modular jail system. And who knows what's going on? The White House has been blacked out in the early morning hours of January the 25th. And I was posting on January 25th about the moon in Cancer. And that was, I guess that's here. And when the moon was entering Cancer, that is here, you see it, there was Aspolus rising, and Pherois was exactly at the 4th house cusp. I wrote a post just to alert people that something big was in the making here, and I give you here a little bit of understanding what these two planets are about. So Aspolus, who was rising, a centaur planet, secretive, hidden agenda, dark secret, secret services, mystery, riddle, intrigue, the sixth sense, perceiving underlying order. So there's this is a very interesting energy, which was very prominent. Pherois, okay, that's the power of the people. The mother bear protecting her cubs, civil courage, outrage, determined, outspoken, and fierce. And Pherois is back in Leo since a week or two, making its final loop here through the last degrees of Leo. Pherois has been in Leo since July 2017 and is very much connected to that great awakening. We are seeing that people are reclaiming their power and the sovereignty, and in that sense forming the grassroots of what we are seeing manifesting. That great support for the president is also definitely part of this, and it so happens that the president Donald Trump, which still is president as we know, I mean, this is all a dog and pony show with that whole bee guy, which is allowed to happen to wake even more people up. It's very obvious at this point. Something is very, very fishy, and they cannot really paint over that anymore now, particularly as we're out of this long-standing square building with the lunar nodes and Neptune, which was kind of thickening the fog. So now the fog is starting to dissolve. As I just did a little recording, you might want to listen to that too. So overall, it is a very powerful moment in time. Also, Mercury is in its last days before turning retrograde. That is the moment then on January the 30th, when Mercury will come to a perfect halt at 26 degrees and 29 minutes in Aquarius. Again, that is strongly aspecting the American nation's moon and palace here. You see pretty much dead on with palace, 2631, at the 3rd house cusp, which is about information flow and sharing of opinions and the translation of what's happening into the day-to-day mind, the Gemini frequency. And as we have a Gemini north node these present months, this is even more amplified. So Mercury is in the foreground, Mercury at 2629 stationing. So that moment again for Washington DC, what we see again is Arrokoth, 1936, exactly in midheaven, 1921, so that's a bare 15 minutes of arc into the 10th house. Those of you who listened to my report on the last new moon know that on new moon it was I guess around the 14th or 13th of January, we had Arrokoth at the 4th house cusp, that degree. And back then I said, and this is still holding now even more so, edging up another level, it's the energy of seeing the bigger picture, of putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, the great awakening in progress. That's what is going on. Furthermore, there is TX 300 rising, that is that Kuiper belt object, which has a lot to do with military, with rude and brute force of action, of just taking charge. And TX 300 has been exactly squaring Saturn. Let me see, that is earlier today. That is again an aspect which only happens once every 29 or 30 years, so this is very meaningful too. Saturn here at 4 degrees 53 in Aquarius, and TX 300 453 Taurus. And in that moment, that was actually really short before full moon, you see that is the moon 820, Leo, the sun 902. So that was just an hour or so before today's full moon. So this Saturn TX 300 energy is very prominent in that full moon too, together with that Mars black moon, that Sun Jupiter. Something big is brewing, and it might not be happening in the public eye for a while, as it's still running undercover with that black moon in the shadows, with the node squaring Neptune, unrecognized for a while. But as Mercury is moving into this 3-week retrograde period, this will be a time of second thoughts, of unraveling, of deeper insights. Interesting also that the moon at this moment, when we have that Mercury stationing, is on AW 197, another critical ingredient in this cocktail. Stealth, the art of war, using the enemy's mistakes to dig itself into a deeper hole. President Trump again has this body, this celestial body, very, very prominent in his chart, actually conjunct his natal sun. It's the most exact aspect with his natal sun in Gemini around 22 degrees Gemini. So you see, it all comes together. It all kind of plays into each other's hands. And last but not least, I want to quickly shed some light on the midpoint chart between that Mercury retrograde stationing on the 30th of January with the American nation's natal chart, the midpoint, which brings us to October 1898. And what are we seeing here is a Moon-Uranus conjunction and Chiron exactly at the 4th house cusp. 2843 is the 4th house cusp. 2840 is Chiron. The Moon 100 Sagittarius. Uranus 1 degree and 32 minutes Sagittarius. This is really a breaking open of the wound at first. That's what we need before healing can set in. Shock, surprise, but also it's something very loud and something which cannot be overheard. So brace yourself over the next 3 weeks into the 20th of February, roughly, between now and then. We will see some major developments. From what I've seen, it might start around the 4th of February to become really loud. That is when the moon will enter Scorpio. And I wanted to show you this chart. Let me just see. I have to open this quickly. So here, this is the moon entering Scorpio on the 3rd of February, actually, next Wednesday, with a 0 degree Aries rising. And as we know, Scorpio moons are intense, so that's probably when the show really starts taking off with that cardinal cross in Washington, D.C. and the American capital. And just to go back here quickly to this chart once more, you see the midpoint of that moon Scorpio, American people, is at 25 Leo. And if we go back to the Ingress chart, to the when moon enters Scorpio on that day, the Mercury is at 25 degrees Aquarius. So that means Mercury is exactly at the 7th house cusp here of this midpoint chart. Mercury here is conjunct the part of fortune and the sun. Here in the midpoints we are approaching, or actually we are coming out already at this date of a superior conjunction of Mercury and the sun. Consider that this chart is moving half the speed, because we are dealing with a stationary point, the American nation's natal moment, and the transiting movements of the planets. So the midpoints move half the speed. This is pulling the curtains open, inviting everyone to see what's going on. That's what is coming. Venus-Saturn conjunction, another indication that it will get pretty disappointing for many people, having to go back over the books and have some empty swallows, kind of. That's what this energy feels like. Okay, we were wrong, kind of really realizing how terribly we have been misled, and creating all these feelings of having been cheated and whatnot. Interesting also that the 25th degree of Leo is President Trump's Mars, a little bit off, 26 or something, 22 I guess is the exact degree. So again, he is the one pulling the strings in the background, and soon will be fully back into the picture. That's very, very obvious. Thanks again for joining and listening, and talk to you soon.